What is up, everybody? Welcome to Drive for Show, DFS for Dough here on RotoGrinders. We've got a major tournament this week with the PGA Championship, so we've decided to boost the booth back to the three-man show tonight for the PGA Championship. So super excited to have our good friend Jacob Horton, aka Hondizzle, alongside. Man, it's been a while since we've had you on. Happy to have you on, Jacob. How you doing?
Good. Glad to be back. Always a fun week. PGA professional. Get a little excited to watch the 20 club pros out there trying to make the cut. So it's a fun week.
Those club pros are going to have a challenge ahead of them this week, I think, with a difficult course on tap. We'll see. Usually there's one or two that makes a little run at least to make the weekend. So always a unique element with the PGA Championship. There's been some discussion about the qualifying criteria that were used and just a lot of back and forth on social media of, people being upset about something or another. But that seems to be a mainstay in the golf world these days. It's always fun to have big prize pools to chase in DFS as well, and a strong field. We've got some of the live guys back in action this week. So plenty of stuff for us to break down. Of course, I am Justin Van Zuiden, aka STL Cardinals 84. And my usual co-host, Derek Farnsworth, is alongside as well. And Noto has been scorching hot with the betting picks, hitting another outright winner with his boy, Jason Day, last week. And boy, the 2023 season here between DFS and that outright hit, Jason Day is getting back in your good graces there, Noto.
Yeah, it's about time. I think I'm still down on the season betting on him, even though he won a tournament last week. But good to see him back in the winner's circle. Happy to have Jacob here for a major week, and yeah, I'm excited. It should be a really fun golf course. I think it's going to be very difficult, which provides some of the best leaderboards that you're going to find. So yeah, I'm excited for the week. I don't need to spend too much time on the TPC Bunny Ranch from last week, but yeah, do you guys have any other takeaways?
No, they can just get rid of that tournament as far as I'm concerned. Weak field, birdie fest.
Did Dash make you guys feel old like it did me? Jason Day's kid.
So I gotta. He's 10. So yeah, that's crazy. He's in between our two kids.
Wait, he's 10?
Yeah.
Looked like he was like 15.
Yeah, he looks old.
He's an old 10. Let's see. What does it say? The sometime in 2000. So yeah, he'll be 11 at some point this year. It doesn't show his actual birth date, but he was born in 2012. So, I didn't see afterwards. I was just following the end on my phone, so I didn't see the course photo or whatever with the family, but.
Yeah, and he's having his 5th kid, so he's challenging Tony Finau for the most kids on the PGA Tour.
5 is a lot. I'm good with 2 here, so yeah, it's well, I guess it's going to motivate him to play more golf, so he's got more time away. He's not going to be able to withdraw as much anymore. But he really, he's had a great year, and I've kind of been slower to get on the bandwagon. The Notos pretty much rode that all year long, so kudos on the hit once again last week. Hopefully, you didn't peak too early because you want to keep it rolling for the majors. We'll have some bets. We'll get back to our snake draft this week at the end of the show. I did join one last week to do off the air, and then kind of forgot about it, but then got the notification that it filled like 2 hours later, and ended up hopping in and drafting. I think I finished 3rd or 4th, but no cash last week. We will see what this week brings. Jacob, any takeaways from last week's event for you that might be relevant to what we've got to keep an eye on here going forward?
I think just overall that because of the elevated events and the schedule that we're seeing a lot more golfers play like prior to a major week, just in general. There were still some pretty big names in the field last week. So I don't know. It just feels like that we had a down week kind of before, but even in Mexico, a couple big names. So it's not like these guys are all taking the week before the major off. So I think the biggest storyline is what do you do with Jordan, right? Title sponsor not playing. Is he injured? Was it precautionary? I mean, if he's healthy, I think Trey has him projected like less than 2% for the week. So I think that's a big story.
Definitely one of the lowest top end plays we've seen. Obviously, we get a little bit different pricing for the majors, but Spieth will be an interesting talking point for sure. And as Noto said, we got a lot to get to here on the show. We actually got 3 hosts here this week, so plenty of stuff for us to talk about, and probably no reason to dwell on last week. Scotty Scheffler was obviously the number 1 guy in the field. Just couldn't quite make enough birdies on Saturday. And finished tied for 5th, but we also saw Siwoo Kim, Tyrrell Hatton, Adam Scott in the top 10. DFS darling Steven Yeager with the T11, and got into the field for the PGA Championship as of this morning with John Daly withdrawing. So the DFS darling will be in there again this week. And basically, last week was just a birdie fest. I wouldn't get too caught up in if you had somebody that you liked that missed the cut. On it being, this earth-shattering problem going forward. And most of the people who missed the cut last week are people who are not teeing it up this week because they didn't qualify. So probably not too much else we need to say about last week. We will go ahead and move forward to the PGA Championship. But before we do that, we've got a fun new sponsor on the show. So want to make sure we pass this along that you can kick off the new year with new gear built to last. Our friends over at Shady Rays have you covered from the sun to the slopes with premium polarized shades, customizable snow goggles, and much more. If you're not familiar, Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company with a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair, durable frames, and extremely clear optics available for your outdoor adventures. And that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day 1, they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. You can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays giving out the best deal of the new year. You can go to shadyrays.com and use code RotoGrinders for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. You can try for yourself these shades rated 5 stars by over 200,000 people. So that is Shady Rays, hopefully bringing the sunshine to the golf course at the PGA Championship this week. And Noto, I mentioned probably going to be a tough test for those club pros this week because from the pictures and the videos that we've seen, it feels like it's going to be more like a U.S. Open test this week. So why don't you talk about the course here a little bit?
Yeah, shout out to Mr. Gerg in the chat. The promo seems a little shady. I thought that was pretty funny. Let's get to Oak Hill. So obviously it's going to play a lot different than it did in 2013 when Jason Duffner won. The course has had major renovations, probably one of the bigger renovations that we've seen with these big courses in America. They've been lengthened to nearly 7,400 yards, and they took out just hundreds of trees. So it's not going to look anything like it did when Duffner won. It's a par 70, so very long course when you adjust for par. 2 of the par 3s are, I think, over 230 yards. Both par 5s are over 600 yards. They might play as 3-shot holes for a lot of the field this week. And the big story for me, it's a long course, very narrow fairways, 27 yards wide on average. Compare that to last year's PGA Championship, was 40 yards wide on average. So you're going to have to deal with some very narrow fairways. The greens are elevated. The greens are also very small, only 4,500 square feet on average. So compared to a typical stop, it's about 6,800 square feet. So you got narrow fairways, small greens. The bunkers here are extremely difficult. We've heard, the fairway bunkers can be a half-stroke penalty if you do find the lip of the bunkers, and then they're difficult too. So you're going to have to the cooler weather. I do think the ball's not going to travel as far, which is going to make the course play even longer. We do have some rain in the forecast. So, it's going to be a very difficult test all around. I think you're going to have to be solid all around. I think you're going to have to be good with your long irons. I do think distance off the tee is going to be a big advantage if you can keep it in the fairway. Yeah. Do you guys have any other takes you want to add?
Go ahead, Jacob.
So, it's kind of interesting. You listen to like Sean McKill, who won here in 2003, kind of listened to his presser shortly before came on the air. All the sight lines have changed, right? All the greens have been remodeled to kind of get back to the original design. So they're pretty small greens. when Duffner won, you look at it was just kind of keeping in play, right? It was a lot of fairways, hit a lot of greens, and Duffner hit it really well that week, obviously, because we know he can't putt. But I think the thing that stands out to me about the course is that, I really think that short game's going to come into play. I think they're going to miss a fair amount of greens this week, and so you have to be all these guys can chip and putt, and even the bad short game guys can have a good week. But if you've got somebody that's losing strokes on both, typically on around the green and putting, then I'd be a little less happy to include them in my pool. I think that you're going to miss greens this week, and with the weather, I mean, it's going to play. I think the PGA Championship is like the last few years has just been less of a scoring fest and kind of like a U.S. Open light. Definitely more of a challenge. Even like last year at Southern Hills, right? Like there was some decent scoring early, and just as the week progressed, the golf course just got harder and harder and harder, and you saw it was very hard to put together, multiple decent rounds, right? It became sort of a survival. And I think we'll see that again this week.
So an even par score for 4 rounds here would be 280. I looked at the over-under for the winning total score in terms of total strokes. So, 5 under would be 275, 10 under would be 270, 15 under would be 265. Noto, have you seen the line yet?
I have seen it. So
man.
I'll let Jacob take a guess.
Have you seen it?
I have not.
All right. What's your guess?
276.
So I figured it would be close to that range as well. It's 270 and a half, 269 and a half, 270 and a half, somewhere in there, around the -10 mark, which to me, with everything we've seen, I mean, there's no gimme birdie holes. There's the par 5s are 3-shot holes for almost everybody. The rough is a penalty. The sand is a penalty. Like, I know these guys are really good these days. And we just don't see the even par winning score that always used to be a hallmark of the U.S. Open and sometimes the Open Championship. But, I mean, Noto, you see somebody get into double digits this week?
If I had to bet, I would take the under on the 10.5 under score. So I would take it being tougher than that.
Okay, so that way, to clarify, the way most of the books do it, they have it listed at total strokes, so 269 and a half. So you'd bet the over on that. Yeah. Don't want somebody to bet it the wrong way. It's kind of confusing depending on how you phrase it. So, I don't know. Seems that way, but watch somebody go shoot -18.
If you're betting Rory, parlay that with the under because he never wins in single digit par. So there you go.
I guess the only thing is that, and we always kind of get in trouble trying to be weather forecasters. If it rains Saturday, like they're talking, and the golf course gets softer, then maybe even though it's still a long golf course, maybe they can take advantage of that. But no, I don't see it.
So got to be good off the tee, got to be good on approach, got to keep it out of the hazards, got to be able to scramble, got to be able to make putts. Those are the skills that you need to do well here. Pretty much everything. And it kind of all comes down to what you want to prioritize most. Everybody's mileage may vary on how they want to prioritize that. But let's go ahead and start digging in. We've got 5 golfers above 10K. One thing we talked about a lot at the Masters was that the live guys had kind of discounted prices. That has corrected a little bit here for some of them, namely Brooks Koepka, who's over 10K on DraftKings again this week. Morikawa also above the 10K mark. That surprised me a little bit. And then, of course, Rahm, Scheffler, and Rory as the top 3, which is no surprise at this point in time. So, Jacob, I'll give you the first crack. Do you want to try to prioritize somebody in the 5 figures on DraftKings? And if so, who do you like the best?
Well, I think you have to start the conversation with can you, and do you still like your lineups? And I think that we see the pricing always pretty soft for these majors. So I think you have to account for, a story that could have, especially the top 3 winning. I'm not super strong on calling this week, but yeah, I mean, I think that you mess around with some rosters, you can find Rory or Scotty or Ron rosters that you like the look of. So I think that you have to sort of account for the fact that you can build rosters you like with those guys. Then you have to decide, okay, do I want to play those guys, right? And my early lean is Ron, but I don't think you could throw stones at picking any of those guys, right? I mean, I think that all should be strong candidates to win this week.
Noto, what's your thoughts on the top range there?
For me, Morikawa is kind of the odd man out. We talked about, everyone's going to be missing greens on this course. At least that's what we're projecting. And he's really bad around the green, and he's a really bad putter. That's kind of a bad combination. Perhaps his ball striking can carry him. We have seen a lot of good performances from him in the majors in the past, but he does feel a little bit overpriced to me. I do like the idea of starting with Rahm or Scheffler. There's not much separating those two. I think you can go either way. Looks like they're going to be pretty close in terms of ownership and price. They both will lead off the tee, both will lead with their irons. Rahm's a little bit better putter, and Scheffler's a little bit better around the green. So no issue with either of them. I do think, at least one of those two is going to be in the mix on Sunday. And then, man, Brooks Koepka does feel overpriced. I was shocked to see him over 10K when I first opened up, the DraftKings salaries. But, man, you look at his major wins. He won at Shinnecock. He won at Bethpage. A lot of people are comping those two courses to this one. He's just coming off of some really good form. So we won on the Live Tour. Then he finished second or third at the Masters, and then he's followed it up with, 3 straight top 11s on the Live. So I do like Brooks, even though he does feel a little bit overpriced. And Rory's the big question mark for me. I have no idea what to do. Apparently he's pretty familiar with the course, but man, missed the cut at the Masters. Then he WD'd from that designated event. Then he went to his happy place at Quail Hollow and did not play well. So that's the big question mark for me. Do you guys have a take on Rory?
I'm always a sucker for Rory on courses where you think it might play tough, and it benefits if you can carry the ball a long way, which I think we have this week. So I'm in on Rory, though it does make me more nervous than it would have, a couple months ago, I guess, maybe even 3-4 weeks ago. But I'm in.
So I was listening to some pregame stuff. My wife loves these weeks because I just consume 20 times more golf than on a normal week. But Rory just recently went back to his old swing coach. He's been working with Brad Faxon all year. They all sound like they're in good form before they head into a major. But he's pretty comfortable at this venue. It seems like the kind of course that he would play well. So, I think that I'm not a big Rory fan typically, but I could see the merit for, him playing well this week. Brooks to me is that's the tough choice, right? Because at the Masters, what was he 7,600 or something? Yeah. He was super cheap. So you had to account for you really had to count. Is that Brooks that we saw on the Netflix series, or is that Brooks that was winning majors? And it looked like it was Brooks that was winning the majors. So at 7,600, even if it wasn't that, you had to account for it because he was going to be top 15. But at that price, I think you almost have to assume that you're going to get a win out of him. So I think he's a little easier to say. I don't. You could take a stand on him a little bit more clearly this week because there's a bigger field, right? There's 16 live guys in the field, so just the pure math behind it, right? So not completely sold on him. I really don't like playing any of the live guys, but that's a bias. So
yeah, I was all about it at the Masters with the pricing, but at 10K plus, I think I can let Brooks go on the board this week because I think it's an overcorrection a little bit. So yeah, I think I'm out on Brooks this week. Any other takes?
I'm in.
Ooh, you're zigging when they're zagging.
I think I want to bet him too.
Baby narrative they just announced, right? If you believe the baby narrative.
Which he's in what? Is he in the mid-20s?
Is this his first? It's got to be, right?
Yeah, first.
There you go.
He's in, and as far as odds, he's in what, mid-20s?
Yeah, he's 22 right now on DraftKings.
Yeah, that's not too bad. You get there's quite a few bettable guys in that range if you're not wanting to, pay a shorter price for Rahm and Scheffler and those guys at the top. So, yeah, I'm probably out on Brooks, though I understand the logic, of course, behind betting him. And as we move down to the 9K range, it surprises the guys. It surprises me he's more expensive than Cantlay and Xander and Finau, who are probably going to be the most popular options in the upper part of the 9Ks. Of course, we got Spieth in there as well. I don't think Spieth is a great fit for the course, even if take the injury out of play. If length is going to be an advantage. And everybody knows that I'm, kind of anti-Spieth generally, so I'm certainly not going to play him when he's injured and, shot 80 or 78 or whatever his last round was a couple weeks back. So, but Cantlay is getting a lot of buzz on social media. Xander always gets a lot of buzz in the majors, and Finau has shown more winning upside of late. So, Noto, you got to take on the upper part of the 9K range here.
Yeah, if you're building one lineup and you're trying to maximize your top 20 upside, then you got to start with Xander, Cantlay, Finau, probably two of those three. They check all the boxes. None of them have any weaknesses. Cantlay's the best putter in the field on bent grass. He's a pretty average putter overall, but number one on bent grass over the last 2 years. Xander's been in great form. He's top 15 to each of the last 4 majors. And then Finau, like you mentioned, he's always been good. And now he's got winning upside to boot. They're all long off the tee, all good out their irons, all good around the greens. So I think those three are going to be my favorites in the range. I agree with you on Spieth, but if you're playing the Millie Maker, 5% Spieth, get double, triple the field. I don't think that's the worst strategy just for some of your lineups. And then the bottom of the range. So Cam Young from New York. I don't know if you guys remember last year at the Open Championship, somebody asked him, "Oh, you're from the streets of New York," and he's like, "Well, I live on a country club, so not exactly the streets of New York." That was just a funny. I'll never forget that line. I don't know why, but. Yeah, so and he disappointed everyone at Quail Hollow. I think he was 40% owned in some of the contests, and everyone had this event circled as one for him to win, and now it doesn't look like he's going to get a lot of ownership. So I like going back to Cam Young. Cam Smith lost in the playoff last week and Live, so it's nice to see him playing a little bit better. Sungjae is always a solid option. Sungjae ended up flying to Korea to play in an event, and he won it last week and then flying back. I don't know if that's good or bad for his –
Did you see that somebody asked about him and all he did was laugh? Somebody asked him about the travel and he just laughed.
Well, he's used to it more than anyone, right?
Well, yeah, he plays all the time. Yeah, he'd fly cross continent and play every week. Sleep on the plane. It just doesn't seem to faze him. Whether you want to take it into consideration or not, I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other. But I saw the quote today.
Yeah, and we didn't even talk about JT. There's so many good plays in this range. And then similar to Morikawa, Hovland just worries me with the short game.
Yeah, Jacob, your thoughts on this range here?
So I like toying around with the idea when I look at this range of so I'll max enter, like the $5 this week. And would you consider locking in any of these guys, right? Like I like toying around with that idea, right? Just go ahead and take that gamble. I think Xander stands out as the one guy right now early in the week that I could say confidently, yeah, I would consider putting him in every lineup, right? I think he's due to win a major. Cantlay narrative, right? We've got new caddy on the bag, right? Tiger's old caddy. So
that's right.
I think that again, you would not be surprised if you saw either one of those guys, finally break through, right? So like who's the current best player in the world not to win a major? It's got to be, right?
Cantlay, Xander, Finau, probably one of those three.
Max Homa, right? It's got to be there too.
Yeah.
So I think that I really like that range. I like Jordan at low ownership. I think, again, the only person in that range that I don't really like, and it's my live bias and just anti-mullet in general, is Cam Smith. He scares me on this golf course because
he can put up a big number.
Well, but scrambling is going to be the key, right? Like, they've got multiple par threes that I would be taking head covers on, right? So like 230, 240 yards. There's going to be guys just having a fight, make potentially a ton of like that 5-footer for par range. He seems to kind of like thrive on those types of golf courses, right? So he scares me not having him. I'm willing to take a risk on Victor Hovland if ownership shakes out. I think the guy is better than what we give him credit for. You don't see it in his numbers yet, but he's working hard around the greens. And he's an elite ball striker, right? Super talented. So if people are going low on him, I definitely have interest in both, obviously Hovland and the Sungjae. I was just thinking that you could call him the cyborg. He doesn't need to sleep, right? He just plays every week and recharges his batteries.
Yeah, interesting points on Hovland. People tend to shy away from him on courses where you might need to scramble, but the rest of his game is fantastic. I mentioned if there's one live guy that I probably will take a chance on this week, it's DJ. who says his game's in a good spot. Obviously, he was at the top of their leaderboard last week, though not a whole lot of people, watched it or saw it because the network cut away from it right before the playoff. Not a great sign for their future if you can't even keep your playoff on the CW network, but that's for them to try to figure out in the long run. But DJ usually pretty honest about the state of his game, and if he's on, I think the course definitely suits him. So him at 8,800, he's probably the one live guy that, especially if the ownership stays in the single digits, that I'm fine taking some chances on this week. As we dig down into the 8Ks, we got Jason Day, won Noto some money last week. Noto, you going back to the well on Mr. Day, and otherwise, what do you like in the 8Ks?
Yeah, I think you can go right back today. I know people don't like playing the guy that won the week before, but through this comeback, he talked about just being in contention again, how nervous he was and how he didn't know if he could get the job done if he was in contention. We saw him kind of fall apart at the Masters, and then we heard it was kind of due to vertigo or whatever. But, yeah, he got the job done. So his goal is to get number one in the world again. He said that he dreams golf. He wakes up thinking about his swing, goes to bed thinking about his swing. So he seems to be all in right now on golf. He's won the PGA Championship before. Obviously, it was a different course, but I don't mind going back to Jason Day if you like, top 20s with the potential for more. I think he's interesting. I like your DJ call. Finally got back in the winner's circle last week. And then Jacob mentioned Max Homa. Look, the major record hasn't been there, right? He hasn't been very good in any of the majors. We kind of thought this would be the year he would break out, finish T43 at the Masters, wasn't great. But I'm on board. I mean, he does everything well. He's a guy that I think thrives under pressure, even though we haven't seen it at the majors. But he's won at some really big golf courses so far, Riviera, Quail Hollow. So, yeah, I like those three quite a bit. And then nothing else till we get to the lower eights.
All right, Jacob, you got anything in there that strikes your fancy in that price range?
I mean, a little interest in DJ. I have a question for both of you. Do you think that the Masters is obviously a controlled environment, right? Fans are going to be on their best behavior. Nobody wants to get kicked out because they'll ban you for life, right? They don't care. Do you think the PGA crowd in New York, do you think it's going to be different for these live guys? Do you think there's going to be a little more banter?
I do think there will be some jeering.
And do you think that, I mean, obviously DJ is like the major. I don't care, right? But still, I think it's going to be a harder week, right? I don't know.
DJ and Patrick Reed will eat it up. Everyone else might struggle with it.
I was going to say, most of the guys who went to live are like the bad guys that kind of thrive on that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think DJ is underpriced, right? Like, I think that him and Brooks are the same player. Like, and there's a huge difference. So, like, I think that he's the guy that, for me, him and Cam are the guys from the live that you have to kind of account for. I mean, they're not all going to play bad. Some of these guys are going to play good this week, right? So which ones are they, right? I would put DJ and Cam probably 1 and 2 with Brooks 3 and maybe Neiman 4. So, I mean, I think that you have to account for some DJ. I really like Homa this week. Arguably the hottest swing coach on tour, and Mark Blackburn, and, just it's a matter of time before he puts it all together, right? He's just too good. Right. And so on a golf course like this, where ball striking is a premium, you can overpower, but you don't have to overpower it. Right. He makes a lot of sense, especially if people are not on him.
Yeah, certainly some interesting plays in this range. Maybe not quite as much consistency for some of them, but guys you could see winning a major. I mean, even you get to the lower part of the range. I've seen some people with some love for Hatton this week. Obviously, we know Fitzpatrick's a little bit longer these days. We've seen guys like Burns and Tom Kim and show some upside at times as well. So, Noto, you mentioned liking a few guys maybe at the bottom of this range. Anybody else above 8K that you like?
I do like Hatton. Projects very well for me. He's much better off the tee than people might expect. He's actually 14th over the last 3 months in this field, which is pretty good considering how many elite drivers there are in this field. I don't mind going to Fitz. You mentioned his added distance off the tee. We know the short game's as good as pretty much anyone's on tour. And then at the very bottom, I like Tommy Fleetwood, playing some good golf this year, does a little bit of everything well. Seems to play well on tougher tracks. I mean, some of his best finishes in America have been in majors when the winning score has been in single digits.
All right, Jacob, you like anything else above 8K? Otherwise, you can start dipping down a little lower if you like.
I like Hatton and Fitz, for the reasons that Noto stated. I think they're both. I mean, Hatton's hasn't won as much as he should, right? Playing some of the best golf of his career, and just underpriced, right? So I like, I think you'll see a lot of rosters that have one or both of that type of play. Below that, Fleetwood stands out to me. Neiman scares me, not having any interest in him. Just seems like he's kind of that lower priced villain. You argue, does Adam Scott have enough upside at that price? He's playing well. There's just a ton. There's a ton in this range to like, right? I think it's the hard part for me this week is narrowing down who to play, because I think you can make a strong case for almost anybody. 76 and 100 above, right? Like, I don't like Reed. Ricky Fowler is, is he going to continue the has-beens winning this year? We had Rose and Day. Now will it be Fowler, right? I'm not a Ricky Fowler fan, but like, he's playing great golf. He's turned it around, right? So
what did he ever do to you? How are you not a Ricky fan?
I think it was always that he was overvalued. Like, people and so like everybody played him, and it was such a sucker play, and he,
it was like that for like a year and a half, and then all of a sudden now he's good again, and nobody wants to play him.
Yeah, so I kind of and the fact that he didn't go to the Live, that won me some brownie points. Plus, talked to Trey a lot. Trey's a Ricky guy, so he believes
it's rubbed off a little bit, ain't you? All right, Noto, what are your thoughts on the high sevens here?
Yeah, this is an interesting range because from 7 to 75, I don't really like anybody, maybe a couple guys. And then from 75 or 76 to 8,000, I like a lot of guys. So I do like Ricky. He's been a top 20 machine this year. I think he needs to take the Jason Day path and Justin Rose path and start playing some of the non-designated events so we can get a win. He just plays all the big fields, and then it's kind of hard for him to break through. But, hey, top 20 at this price would certainly get it done. Don't mind going to Justin Rose, Keegan Bradley. You mentioned Adam Scott's been playing well. A lot of it's been the putter, but hey, you're going to have to putt well here. So on these courses that are difficult, I do like Adam Scott. And then Corey Connors, so he's gained 5.8 and 7.3 strokes ball striking his last two starts. We know that's going to be key this week. If he can putt well, I think he could be interesting. He's kind of the cheaper version of Morikawa or Hovland in that.
But not as chalky. I mean, he was a guy that, like, at the Masters was the obvious play. Yeah. And he was, I can't remember what he was priced there. Probably a little bit less than he is now, if I remember right.
I think he was the same as Brooks, 76.
But so he's slightly higher, but not nearly as popular, which, bias will do that to you, I guess, because he had such a poor second round at the Masters and missed a cut. But it's not like he's become a different golfer and coming off a T8 and in his last start. If you think the short game can hold up, I think he's definitely fine if the ownership stays in the single digits. Neiman, if you're okay with the live guys. I mean, certainly some players in this range. Anybody else in there, Noto? I didn't mean to cut you off with the Connors talk there.
Oh, no, we got a question about Taylor Moore. He's been playing great. So I was looking at his stats today. He's gained off the tee in 9 of his last 10, and he gained putting in 9 of his last 10. So that's a nice combo to have when you're just consistently gaining strokes in those facets. I don't mind him. He's only played in one major, did make the cut at the Masters. And then we also got a question about Harris English, and I don't know about Harris English. I mean, he's one of the more volatile golfers on tour right now. When he does pop, it's pretty much all due to the putter, but he did gain 7.5 strokes the last time we saw him at Wells Fargo. So do you guys have a stronger take than me on Harris English?
Yeah, I don't, but I tend to be a little biased against him for whatever reason. But if Jacob has anything, I'll defer to him.
Not any strong takes. I mean, obviously the injury kind of derailed him, but, it's not a bad price, right? Like, if you're going to mix and match, a guy at, 5 to 10% of your lineups, you could probably pick a lot worse this week. I mean, he does have a lot of experience, so appears to be healthy, right? I'd much rather take him over, Paul Casey, right?
Dude, Paul Casey hasn't finished in the top 30 in 5 straight live events.
Right.
What is going on with?
Now, keep in mind that they're only playing. I mean, what's their field size? 40 something.
48.
Yeah. You're hearing a lot of stories though. There's there's a few names on that tour, and they won't name them, but that have just packed it in. That are like they've taken their money.
I think the results will make it clear on a few of them.
Yeah, exactly. Did y'all see the pictures of Bryson this week? Have y'all watched any?
No, I saw that he's going to live to be 100 or something.
Him being skinny or what?
Yeah, so he's trimmed down, right? He's kind of given up on the whole Hulk Hogan. I'm going to hit it as far as I can, and lost some weight and slimmed down.
This guy, he has something in his mind, and he just runs with it. Like the same length clubs was a thing for a while, and then he was bombing it, and then he was long drive. Now he wants to live till he's 500. There's just always something going on with him. But hey, he played his best week, I think, on live. 5th place finish last week.
Yeah. Have you ever seen?
I'm not going to bite on that.
He can hit it left-handed too. Like his left-handed swing is almost as good as his right-handed.
Yeah, I watched. He played somebody in a match on YouTube. I watched that. That was good.
I'm
not going to watch it because then I'll get suckered into doing something stupid. So
what about Wyndham Clark? He's going to be popular. Is that if you had to say right now, fade or play?
Well, I listened. He was on, I can't remember if it was a foreplay or the one with Colt Nost, their podcast. And he said that he's going to take the whole week last week and just party it up. It was his first win on tour. And so that worries me a little bit. He said he's just not going to worry about golf and then just show up and do his usual thing for this week. So that worries me.
That sounds like a nope to me.
And last 5 majors, 76th, 65th, 72nd, 75th, 106th. So I think he's made maybe one of his last 5.
But to be fair, he's played a lot better golf this year than any other year in his career.
Playing devil's advocate. Yeah. Big Wyndham Clark fan. He treated me well, but I think I'm off of him at this point.
As clearly the most popular play below 8,000 in terms of our early projected ownership. I'm probably out on that as the chalk as well. I wouldn't be surprised if that number comes down just a little bit, once the ownership numbers circulate. But and it's also interesting because the bottom end of this 7K range isn't really all that exciting. Not a whole lot of guys projecting well. Maybe Siwoo Kim and Mito will be another guy that gets some buzz. But Jacob, is there anything in the lower half of the 7K range that does interest you?
I think so. You always look back at these, especially the PGA, maybe the British Open too. One of these guys is going to pop, right? One of these lower tier, solid PGA Tour players. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I think I want exposure to Kitayama and Mitchell, and I like Woodland and Kim. Siwoo at this price. I think that, it wouldn't surprise me to see any of those guys play well. Davis Riley, I think I'm off. I've been on all year, and boy, he's just like all over the map, right? On a hard golf course like this with big numbers, I think I'm off. But yeah, I think that you can account for some of these guys potentially playing well. It's not somebody you're going to build your whole week around, but I think that they provide enough salary relief and upside, right? If Gary Woodland can just chip and putt halfway decent, right? At that price, I think there's more than enough upside, and he's proven that.
Yeah, always whether or not you got one element to your game for sure that's going to be a weakness for the guys priced in here. But you look at, Keith Mitchell's had great numbers off the tee for close to a year now. We know Woodland's ball striking is going to be there, and he's shown maybe a little bit more over these past 3 or 4 months than what we saw maybe the last full season. And to his credit, he's made 6 cuts in a row, so including a couple of top 15s. So maybe a little bit more consistency back in that game from Woodland as well. I always like targeting him in majors. I think the $7,100 price point is pretty reasonable. Ownership isn't too bad. If distance is important, I can see going with Mitchell as well, though the potential for a big number if he gets a little wayward is certainly concerning. But Noto, anybody else above 7K that you're interested in?
Yeah, on Woodland with you guys. He's 4th in this field over last year in ball striking. Just incredible. He's going to give it all back on and around the greens, but I'll fall for it. In that same vein, Emiliano Grillo, last 3 events, he's gained 6, 10, and 4 strokes just on approach. So the irons have been absolutely dialed in for Grillo. He hasn't been the best at majors, but I think the PGA is kind of the one that you circle where some of the lower-owned guys can pop on the leaderboard. And then I do like Seamus Power at 7,000 even. He's just one of those streaky golfers that back-to-back top 20s, does everything kind of well. And, our friend Dan Kramer asking about Jaeger bombs. What do you think he's going to get priced at? I do think everyone's going to be overlooking him just because he's a late ad. They typically don't get much buzz.
I'll say 7K flat.
I'm in at that price. What about you guys?
Yeah,
I think I would be as well. I could be very wrong on the price. Does he have odds yet?
Ooh, I'll check out Scores and Odds. Shout out Scores and Odds.
Yeah, you can check that because we got everything listed.
He's 350 to 1. So if you like money, if you like burning money on fire, bet Jaeger this week.
He's 350. That's the best odds you'll get. So he's priced. A lot of the other guys that are priced in this range are like 66, 6,700. Maybe he'll get a 68, 67, 68, $6,900 price. But if we're in at 7K, it'll be interesting. So yeah, keep an eye on that. He'll be a late ad. Probably will get added to the player pools, at least on DraftKings tomorrow. We're taping this Monday evening, so Tuesday. And the one value that's kind of standing out in our early projections is KH Lee by a lot compared to the other 6K players.
Did you see his numbers from last week?
No, I didn't.
Let me pull them up. They were something. Okay, so at his favorite event, back-to-back winner. So he gained 2.8 off the tee. He gained 7.4 on approach. So one of the best ball strikers in the field. And then he lost 8.6 strokes on and around the greens.
Oof.
Which is probably good for his price and ownership and all that this week.
All right, we'll get the last couple values from you guys, and then we'll fire up our snake draft here as usual. Jacob, any sub 7K guys that catch your eye this week?
Boy, I don't think you have to go there, but if I were to, just to try to squeeze in like a couple really top end plays, it's going to sound kind of gross, but I don't mind Jimmy Walker, maybe Alex Smalley, right? Just as pretty low end dart throws. I think there's more than enough upside with those guys. Walker is playing better golf than probably he's priced, right? But yeah, outside of that, no. I mean, you could make an argument before he went to the Live Tour that Thomas Peters at that price, but I think he's another guy that's just kind of packed it in, taking the money and living the good life.
Jimmy Walker is a guy we talked about on last week's show. Randomly, making what was it? It was 4 top 25s in a row. Did continue that made cut streak last week, but finished near the bottom of the leaderboard. Did make 18 birdies though, so still finished -7. But at TPC Bunny Ranch or whatever Noto called it at the beginning of the show, -7 was only good for T74. Confident that -7 will get you better than T74 this week. If you can get there. But Noto, anything under 7K for you?
My favorite is Torbjorn Olesen. He's made 9 straight cuts on the DP World Tour, including 3rd, a 6th, a win, a 4th, all in his last 5. He's not the longest off the tee, but man, he's been excellent. He leads the DP World Tour stroke average, total strokes gained. So he's playing some great golf over there. Not sure it'll translate, but 6,500 is worth a shot. At min price, David Micheluzzi. He's been a good ball striker. If you want to, build a two stars at the very top and throw somebody in that's min salary, then we got to get your take on Ryan Fox, Justin.
I always love Ryan Fox in the majors. We can generally always get him at a discount. It was so his last start at the RBC, he withdrew due to illness. Now, I'm not sure if he was really ill or if it was I was 6 over through like 6 holes or whatever it was. And and obviously if you're ill, that can contribute to being 6 over through 6 holes. But he always plays better in the bigger events. He was T26 at the Masters, T27 at the Players, had a couple of, solid finishes on the DP World Tour towards the end of the year. I'm not all in by any means, but I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I didn't, have some sort of sprinkle or a top 20 bet or something. Don't think you need to play him in DFS, but if you're building like 100+ entries this week, you could throw him in 5 and get a little exposure. Plenty long off the tee. So, but not quite as confident as I was the last couple times.
Any take on the Højgaard brothers? I'll take Nikolai if anybody wants Rasmus. Head-to-head bet.
Put them all. Well, you're getting the better golfers supposedly here with the pricing anyway.
True. All right, should we do the snake?
All right, we can get ready for the snake draft. So, again, if you guys are listening on the podcast feed or you're just not interested in the snake draft, we can bid you adieu for the week. Thank you, as always, for listening. If you're watching on the YouTube and you're checking out, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. We appreciate that very much. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not already and get notifications anytime we go live. We do these golf shows each and every week, not just for the majors. So free for you and appreciate your support. Check us out at RotoGrinders.com. Plenty of good premium content for you as well over there if you are interested. So, so if you're not familiar, if you're a new listener, if you're watching us live, we didn't do this a couple weeks ago because the field was so bad, and then we didn't do it last week because Noto had to dart. But we do a snake draft on DraftKings, $5 snake draft with 12. We usually try to do 12 player draft, which should be easier this week with the major. So if you go to the DraftKings homepage, you click on the golf subheader, and then you click on snake draft. We do the $5 one that's got 12 participants. And right now it is around, let's see, I'll be the 4th one to enter it there. So it's 4 out of 12. If you're watching us live, hopefully we can fill a 12-man. If not, we can back down to 6. But hopefully we can get that filled pretty quick. I will then share my screen and we can go through the snake draft. So, all right, we're at 6 of 12 now. Go ahead, Noto, if you got anything you want to.
I was just going to say, posted the link in the chat if you need to copy and paste it.
Yeah, that direct link will take you there as well. So I saw this morning that the 4 teams left in the NBA Finals are the same 4 teams from the bubble year, which is just wild. Time is a flat circle, I guess, and we've come back to the same squads as it was. So Noto, you're a NBA guy. Who's the team to beat at this point?
I mean, Boston has the most talent. They're the clear favorites, but they just have some bad games where they just forget to show up. Luckily, they showed up for games 6 and 7 against Philly. And luckily, they were facing Doc Rivers. I mean, that poor guy. Have you seen the list of series he's been up?
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a big list.
Oh, that's bad. I think they're the favorites, but I think the Lakers are interesting. They're just one of those teams, and they haven't even gotten like the superhuman performances out of LeBron yet.
Well, the Celtics are going to be favored just because they're such big favorites to come out of the East, given their opponent. But it will be interesting to see how that plays out. All right, we're at 8 of 12 here. We've been stuck there for a while. So if we stay stuck there, we might have to back down to the 6. I'll give that maybe one more minute, and we'll see if that fills up. But
I'll try to recruit my wife really fast. She'll join in and beat us all.
It's and I will post on Twitter as well. It'd be nice this week to get to 12. Our momentum with the snake drafts has slowed down. We used to fill these super fast. Sorry, composing a tweet, and get that out there. All right, still stuck at 8, so plenty of time for you guys to join if you want to hop in.
Yeah, last week or 2 weeks ago, we did the 6-man and it failed immediately, and then we're like, well, we should have done the.
Yeah, should have done the 12. Now we're back to struggling to fill the 12. So I don't know. The people they're struggling to give me consistency here. Yeah, we might have to go back to the 6. It's been stuck at 8 for a good couple minutes.
I think my wife's going to join. I don't know if we'll get enough, but I just text her.
Who's the top outright pick in that 20 to 30 odds range? All right, we're up to 10. 2 more. Who you guys like if you're betting somebody in that 20 to 30 odds range? Let's see. going to pull up the guys. So on DraftKings right now, Finau is 22-1 to win. Brooks is 22. Thomas is 28. Day is 28. Hovland is 30. Fitzpatrick, DJ, Morikawa are 30. Hatton, Cam Young are 35. Homa is 40. And Spieth is down to 45-1 now. You guys got a favorite bet out of that group if you had to pick a mid-range guy to win this week?
Well, David Miller in the chat, he's got all his money tied up at Cam Smith outright. So maybe we should be.
There you go. Hey, and we filled
Jacob's not a fan. Yeah, I like that range a lot. Xander's still there. Brooks is still there. Cantlay's been a popular pick. Finau's still there. That's the hardest thing this week is narrowing down who you want to bet, which I have not done yet.
All right. Well, we filled the draft. So our buddy Dan Kramer is back this week. We've got producer Devin. Even though he's not producing, he's got the night off. He's still joining us. He's got the 3rd pick. Noto's got the 5th pick. I've got the 7th pick. Hondizzle is the 9th pick.
My wife drafting right in front of me.
Is Jay still in the draft? He is. Okay. We're good.
He's rocking a Mets logo now. It's going to throw me off. I'm used to the Lightning one. Few new faces this week, but
Justin, how the Cards doing? Picking it up a little, right?
My Cardinals, I made it through the month of April by just hate tweeting not hate, that's not the right word, but
I've enjoyed those tweets.
Tilting the god awful front office and manager that we have as they started the season 10-24. Now I've never seen a team that they were like minus 170 to win their division at the start of the year, and they started 10-24. Now they were 6-1 last week, so I had to back off the tilt tweets because they won 6 out of 7 games. They came back in the 9th inning twice, but they started off so bad that even with a 6-1 week, they still have the worst record in the National League. They're improving, but I mean, when you start 10-24, like you got to rip off 8 or 10 in a row just to make up some of that ground. So it's been a struggle for them. They 6-1 last week. They are leading 4-0 against the division leading Brewers tonight. So maybe things are starting to turn a little bit. I hope so, because I'm going all the way to Pittsburgh in 2 weeks to watch them. So we're taking a road trip with the boys to Cedar Point in Ohio, and then to Canton to the Football Hall of Fame, and then we're going to see the Cardinals in Pittsburgh for a few days. So like a week and a half road trip with the boys. All right, the draft is rolling, and let's see. So no surprises with the first couple picks with Scheffler and Rahm. And then Xander goes 3rd. It'll be interesting to see where these guys kind of go in that 8 to 12 range.
Yeah, interested to see who Dan takes here.
I'm betting Rory. Can't lay the sleeper pick. Or Finau, who I did not mention.
Okay. I thought he was going to go Cantlay. Now I got to go Cantlay or Brooks, huh?
Come on, back it up.
All right. I'll take Brooks.
Well, I professed my liking for Rory, so I'll be ecstatic if he makes it to me at 7. I do not know the person that. All right, Cantlay goes. I have to take. That's basically destiny for me to take Rory at that point. So,
how far is Spieth going to fall? To like 25th, maybe?
Yeah, I think that's about right. Unless somebody gets stuck on auto draft, I think 20s is probably right. And that's kind of where his odds are as well. Okay, so this is Hondizzle's wife. We'll see. I'm gonna have to see. I mean, that's where the bragging rights are gonna come in this week for sure. Like Hondizzle could win 100K, but if his wife beats him in the snake draft, that will be what is talked about in the household for sure.
You know, we'll play. So I'm pretty lucky. She likes sports. We'll play football on Sundays. I'll spend all week grinding, right, figuring it all out. And she looks at like just a little bit of content on RG. And the weeks that she just smokes me, it's unbearable.
Love it.
Yeah, that's awesome for sure. My wife does not get into the fantasy element of it, but she does not mind watching the game. She's probably upstairs watching the Cardinals game right now, so can't complain about being able to watch it All right, so we're almost through round one. Jason Day goes there with pick number 11. So he's not making it back to you, Noto. Probably
I could start with Brooks and Cam Young. That'd be nice.
You can go rogue with.
Maybe I'll go the all live line.
Yeah, go with DJ. Go DJ if he makes it back. So he won't make it back, though. I don't think he's 14th in the rankings, and probably will go in one of the next couple of picks. T-Bets PGA's got a RotoGrinders logo. I don't remember seeing that user in our snake drafts before. If you're playing along with us for the first time, welcome. Nice to have you. And we do these. I went like 4 months without cashing in one of these before finally winning one a couple weeks ago, which was the best $20 I've ever won in DFS to finally break the curse with these. So
you guys do best ball
for NFL?
Yeah. How many? Dan's want to know how many Best Ball Mania 4 have you entered so far?
That would be 0 for me.
0 for me.
Yeah, I've never done best ball. I would like to because it would help me get a head start on the NFL stuff.
So I've had to because we're back on Sirius XM now, and so I've been helping out on some of those shows on the weekends. And the Sirius XM content is driven by football, so I've had to read up on and get to know where some guys are getting drafted and stuff like that. So it's going to help my football prep this year to kind of get into that here in the summer, but I haven't done any drafts yet.
Oh, Cam Young. Let's go. Easy game.
Spieth went right before you too, by the way. So Spieth went 19.
Okay. Sebmax says Fox had pneumonia.
All right. Well, and then we can explain away the +6 and 6 holes. And maybe he's a full go and nobody's going to play him. Ryan Fox. See, here's where I get suckered into making a stupid bet live on the air, which I did with Ryan Fox once before.
Yeah, don't bet him to win. Just like
I'm not going to do that. That's probably not going to happen. But let's just say, what do you think? What do you think good odds would be on a top 30? Top 30.
I would think +600 would be good.
Only +350 on the top 30.
Yeah, I was going to say 250.
+700 on the top 20.
I mean, that's only 10 more spots. Yeah, do that.
Double the odds. +110 first round leader. 110.
This is top 70, right? This week.
Yeah.
Double week.
Yeah, good week for made cut parlays. Because the bottom of the field's pretty bad. Get a higher percentage of the field
some
making
freebies.
The cut.
Did we talk about Shane Lowry?
I don't think we did. If you have a thought, go for it.
I think he's going to gain traction as the week goes along. If the golf course appears to be hard and bad weather, grinder. Yeah. I think wouldn't be surprised to see him gain a lot of steam if we look like it's going to be kind of cold and wet and dreary.
Let's see. Pull up his results there that show on the screen. Did play fairly well at the Masters. So
top 25 in 6 of his last 8 majors. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Pretty consistent, especially when you consider that he hasn't really been doing a whole lot otherwise over the last 6 months or so. Bryson.
Ooh, wow, Dan too.
That's
I have to rethink
scary.
Slim down Bryson. There we go.
I mean, a lot of people are comparing this to Wingfoot, and he took that place apart. All right, I guess I'll go Lowry.
On cue. Dang it, Connors was the guy I kind of wanted here.
I would like Bryson to be good again. He's a good storyline for golf.
Do we take a shot on Tom Kim? I think he's the most talented guy left. It scares me in a major, though, but in the interest of me running short on time, I'm going to take him anyway.
So much talent, though. A lot of upside.
What am I doing? Ricky was there? Oh, no. Oh, your wife got
I
him.
was going to take him too.
What
There's
a
no
pick.
tradesies. No tradesies in these, Noto. You're stuck with with no Ricky.
Shane Lowry.
It's okay though. If he wins, then we got we can have Hondizzle's wife finishing ahead of him and have that clout to hang over him.
Is Yeager in here yet? Probably not.
Probably not if he's not in the pricing pool. I will search just in case.
As the week goes on and you start consuming more content, Golf Channel stuff, how much does it start influencing your rosters? I mean, I know like for the Masters, I'll change 100 times, right?
I have found that almost every time I do that, I end up regretting it.
Yeah.
So I've tried to not change too much unless there's obvious reports of an injury or a withdrawal or something like that. But it almost always fails me when I do that.
Yeah, I listen to so much throughout the week that it all just becomes a blur. But and then I make my lineups on late Wednesday night. I usually have a few drinks, make some lineups. And so whatever I hear last is probably what ends up
sold,
making the biggest impact. But for the most part, I just trust my model.
Hondizzle stole my guy there. I was going to go with Woodland as well. That's a good pick. Okay, Matt Kuchar. I am going to go with Keith Mitchell here.
We should have set a rule that everybody has to draft one club pro.
Oh, that would have been good.
Somebody would eschew the rules and get an unfair advantage.
JJ would be the top one, right?
I couldn't name one of them.
Well, JJ played on tour. He played on Nationwide.
Yeah, no, I remember him. He was like in the Draft Street days. I remember seeing him. Oh, I'm on the clock. Okay, somebody picked Paul Casey, huh?
They did.
Oh, it's getting
thinner than I expected.
I'll go Griot. We didn't talk about Minwoo. He's a guy that can get it out there.
He can get it out there, but and he just got taken. I was going to bring up his player card, and he got sniped. Now I got to find who took him so I can pull that up.
Dan Kramer.
Yeah, so 3 missed cuts in a row.
I think he hits his 7-iron farther than I hit my driver.
Second that.
I like the Denny McCarthy pick. We saw him pop at was it the U.S. Open last year?
That was one of those tough events. All right, answer off the board. We go into round 5 here, so still 3 rounds to go with the pool getting fairly thin here.
Unless it changes, you won't see the days of Bubba Watsons and Kevin Nas playing in this event or done.
Yep. And pretty soon, a lot of the other guys are going to be out. The Niemans and the Answers. Man, his Pendrit's just been really bad.
He has been bad.
He would be a good course fit.
There goes Nikolai to producer Devin. Boy, we still got to pick 3 more guys. It is really tight down here for.
It's probably good practice. It makes you kind of.
It is. It makes you think about the. There goes Bobby Mack, another guy that we haven't talked about too much in a while. Don't take my pick, Noto.
All right. Well, I don't know who you're.
Yeah, you did. I
Okay.
figured you might because you brought him up earlier. Now I got to go searching again.
You take Harris English.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to have any of them in DFS, so it'd be a nice hedge. Why not?
Chris Kirk's had a nice season.
I don't love Kirk on this course, but he has had a good year.
Guy, yeah.
Oh, there goes English. Boy, this is just happening again. I feel like this movie happened before. Okay, I have to go down a little ways to
Go Cage Lee. He's still there.
I don't think so. I don't.
Take your boy Phil Mickelson.
I am not going to take Phil. I will take Kirk because I think he's the best player left.
What was the bigger surprise? Jimmy Walker winning this or Phil winning this?
Phil.
I mean, based on the way the last couple of years have gone, the Walker one surprises me the most now.
Both were just completely out of the blue. What about Patrick Rogers? Long off the tee, shown some upside recently.
You like top 40s, he's your guy.
Yeah. I mean, in this snake draft, that might be pretty good.
Miscut, 10th, 19th, 5th, miscut his last 5 starts. A lot of weaker field events, though. But all right, into round 6 now. And there goes Harold Varner III, so another live guy off the board. We're kind of down into what would be the kind of the upper part of that 6K range in DFS parlance.
Who broke Taylor Montgomery?
Yeah, I don't know. Or he was just running so much with the putter that
It was that.
it was just
Like,
way
it
over
used
his
to
head.
be like level with the ball strike. Now it's just losing 8 strokes a week. Yeah, we got like all the shorter hitters now to choose from. Mackenzie Hughes played well last week.
Yeah, I actually just pulled up his player card as you were saying that. So probably going to take him, to be honest, if he doesn't get sniped right in front of me here.
He was in the mix at Pebble with the small greens the year Woodland won. He's got a pretty decent track record in the majors.
And he tends to be streaky too, so I like he's coming off a good performance last week. All right, now only one pick to go after that, so we're rounding into the back half of round 6 here. We're at pick 67, so Brendan Todd has fallen from 42 in the pre-rankings, and Taylor Montgomery has fallen from 47, and Billy Horschel's has fallen from 49. So those are kind of your 3 guys that have dipped from where their quote-unquote average draft position should be. Not a lot of people do the 12-man drafts, so DraftKings doesn't have that tracked. But if you're just going off of their pre-rankings, that is.
All right, we didn't bring him up earlier, but Jordan L. Smith is like the Charles Howell of the DP World Tour. Just Mr. Consistent. I think he's interesting this week.
Going to give you a nice T30.
I wonder why he has the L in there.
Is there another Jordan Smith? I feel like there was another Jordan Smith on the Euro Tour maybe at one point.
Man, all these guys down here really make me want to do some made cut parlays.
It feels like, it's always one guy's going to ruin that for you. Who's the one guy that you could just as easily left out of there?
Yeah, Fleetwood, Fitz, Fowler, all those guys not going to make the cut. But they would. Somebody will mess it up. You're right.
All right, we're heading around the turn here. Yannick Paul off the board and Brian Harmon and Hayden Buckley. Guys you haven't heard from too much in a while.
Pouring out for Harmon. Poor guy.
All right, I'm just going to queue up some guys. So I don't have to go searching when it makes it back to me about 5 or 6 picks from now. I mean, I know he's a short hitter, but it does surprise me that nobody's taken Brendan Todd at this point. He's just, he's a better golfer than all
he's going to be
guys.
going driver into these par 4s.
One of us.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm taking Rogers, last pick.
Boy, Peters hasn't been doing anything on the Live Tour either. Do I go Eric Cole or do I go KH Lee? Smarter or stupid?
Stupid.
All right, that's Eric Cole then. There goes Horschel. Hondizzle controlled me by taking KH Lee and then rubbing that in my face when he finishes much better than
That'll be the difference.
Than Eric Cole. 4 picks to go, and then we're done. All right, Alex Smalley off the board. Somebody's got to take KH Lee. One of you last 3. It's destiny at this point. Oh, Jay Steele picks Brendan Steele. All right, that's allowed. Adam Hadwin. Yeah, nobody's going to listen to me and take KH Lee. That's okay. If he does well.
Oh, they did.
Hey, last pick, Mr. Irrelevant is KH Lee. That's awesome. All right, so the rosters for our group here: Rory, Hatton, Tom Kim, Keith Mitchell, Chris Kirk, Mackenzie Hughes, and Eric Cole for me. Hondizzle, Hovland, Fitzpatrick, Bradley, Woodland, Kitayama, Victor Perez, and Alex Smalley. And Noto has Koepka, Cam Young, Lowry, Grillo, Power, Jordan L. Smith, and Patrick Rogers. So with that, we've been the prior longest show in a long time. So it was nice having the 3-man booth back here for the PGA Championship. And we'll be back next week with another show for you, everybody. And Noto, Hondizzle, anything else before we get out of here?
I'll be around all week. If anybody wants to talk some golf, just hit me up on Twitter.
All right. And thanks to Hondizzle for joining us as well. Always good having you on. And thanks to Steve for producing hard behind the scenes for us. We wish you all the best of luck this week, everybody, and we will catch you later. Have a good one.